Hello and welcome to Stop the Madness, man. Episode 1. Huh?
Big time. Yep. Yeah. This is great stuff for us. There might be some ups and downs here, but we're just gonna work our way through it. I think this is exciting, and we were very appreciative of you all for stopping by, having a little sit down with us, whether you're working on the plant floor or you're in the office driving to work. Really appreciate you checking in, and we're just excited to dive in.
That's right. We are excited to dive in. This is going to be fun stuff. So, recapping, right? We're here to stop the madness. The madness in why don't we do a better job of managing our equipment, managing our assets? Why do we find ourselves in this perpetual loop of reactiveness, right? It's the more I think about it from a psychological standpoint, I think it's just human nature, right? Like we're just so busy with the status quo that we just forget. It requires work, right? Effort. And sometimes that's hard because we're people. And it's all good. We're people. But today we are kicking this thing off on a relatively fun piece. We're talking about hospitality, asset management and hospitality. And what does hospitality mean? Well, I mean, that's like what? Casinos, sports venues, cruise lines, ski resorts, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, really anywhere you pay a decent amount of money to have fun, right? And it's funny. You think about asset management. Well, most people think asset management's just a fund index. Now, they don't think of physical pieces of equipment, right? But asset management is super pertinent to the hospitality industry, and we're going to tap into that today. And I think we're going to have a fun time with it. So I don't know, Ben, what do you think about hospitality and asset management? I mean, where are we missing the mark, man?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, as far as hospitality, thanks for opening the door on our way in here. That was great hospitality by you. No, but getting into, the hospitality industry and just what it means, we talk about asset management. You mentioned a lot of folks just think initially portfolio managers and it's all financial. Well, what we're getting at here with asset management is more talking about the physical equipment, the things that you have as a business that ultimately the goal is to make revenue. In the hospitality case, it's very much about having an incredible guest experience, one where your patrons are coming and they're visiting and they're having a good time. And they go home and they're like, I can't wait to go back. And all of that comes down to that experience. And so, I mean, every time I go to a hotel, depending on where you book, you're really just looking for a place to lay your head. You're probably out and about doing other things. But if you're at a resort, there are a lot of things and accommodations there that'll improve your time and you'll remember those things. And so whenever I go, I'm thinking, is it clean? Are things working? I think one of the big ones when I think of like asset management and hospitality could be like HVAC. Like if you go and you've done a whole bunch during the day, it's hot out, or alternatively, it's super cold out, especially if you're at like a ski resort. You'll want to be able to come back to your room and feel comfortable. And if that equipment isn't working, if you are sweating everything out, not a great experience. And so it's so crucial for businesses to be able to look and say, we need our things working. How are we going to maintain all of that, especially if we're a really big resort or property that, has a lot of stuff to take care of.
A lot of moving pieces. I don't know really anybody who likes to go to bed sweaty. Do you?
No. And if for some reason I do, something is wrong with me. So just to say, you really, it's about that comfort level. So
it's comforts.
Comfort, experience. You want it to feel like home, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, nobody wants to go to bed sweaty. Nobody wants to jump in the shower and it's cold water only.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a cold shower guy. Yeah.
Well,
I might be weird.
Summertime. Yeah, it's got to be summertime.
Maybe even in the winter.
You're a weirdo.
I am a weirdo.
That's not what we're here for. Well, we digress a little bit on that. Yeah. We talk about going to sleep sweaty. It just brings me back to sleeping in the field under a Humvee and just being hot and muggy and miserable. But anyway, well, those are good points, Ben. Excellent points. Well, I'm excited to share that we have a expert, a ringer, if you will, somebody who knows this space very well, somebody that we got to know over the past few months pretty well. And this individual is Angela Overstreet from Hexagon. So to give a little bit of backstory on that, Digital Thinker is partnered with Hexagon. We're a value-added reseller and implementer to primarily Hexagon's enterprise asset management solution. We're not going to talk too much about that, but there's a handful of other solutions that we can sell or implement on, and our relationship with Hexagon is really cool. It's also can be a little muddy sometimes just because things are changing, and that's okay. We're gonna get through that together. But more importantly, we get an opportunity to really work with folks like Angela who are on the direct sales team, who are, I guess you could say frontline individuals. Yes, it is sales to a degree, but Angela is not a cram it down your throat kind of salesperson. That's one thing I think I really love about working with Angela is she just wants to help. Mm-hmm. She's got a good attitude. She's passionate about it, and we just want to have good good solutions to everyday common challenges. So we got Angela who's going to be joining us today. Angela, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Alex, Ben. And I'm so excited to be here and chat with you guys. Yeah. This is very exciting.
It is.
To be on the first episode of all episodes.
I know.
This is going to be good stuff.
It is wicked. I guess, Angela, real quick, can you give us 30,000-foot overview? What do you do?
Yeah. So I would say at a high level, education. My goal is to educate folks in how they manage their facilities. So when it comes to hospitality, whether it be, like you said, a ski park resort, all the way to hotel facilities, helping folks be able to get away from a reactive state and be able to have a really good visual on the facilities and the equipment that they have, and being able to monitor that and have the data to make educated business decisions. Mm-hmm. That's really the high level. We could dig much deeper, but
we're gonna. Don't worry. We're gonna get into this. Yeah.
we got better things to talk about the day to day of my job.
No, it's important, right? The reason I tee that up is part of stopping the madness, right? Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess depending on where you land, right? This is also a tale as old as time. Sales folks get a bad rap because we're trying to sell something. I mean, at the end of the day, we are trying to sell something, but I'm pissed, and this is why I want to stop the I'm not going to try to rant too hard, but capitalism's funded on finding a solution to a problem and then selling that solution and fixing it, right? And so what we're experiencing in today's age, and not to get heated on the AI train or digital transformation or some of the other buzzword components, but there are so many solutions, and some of them work, some of them don't. And I don't want to say everybody, a lot of people's goals are meeting Q1 revenue numbers, right? They don't give a flying shit about what you're trying to do. They just want to get you sold, hooked on a 36-month subscription to some software that may or may not work for you, and they don't care. They just don't care. And so anyway, that's why I wanted to bring that up, is because even though is your title account manager? Is that what it is?
Yeah, account rep.
Yeah, account rep.
Same thing.
So I mean, it is sales at the end of the day, but you're right. It is education. It is more about finding the right solution. It's going to fit your needs. And more importantly, if it's not going to fit, for us to say, hey guys, our product can't handle this. Sorry. Wish we could help you out any further, but we're not going to try to force a square peg into a round hole. So anyway, I digress on that again. I appreciate you bringing that up because, yes, we want to understand a little bit of what you do. It's not just cram it down your throat sales, right? Like you're not cold calling 100 dials a day, just grinding it, trying to well, maybe you are, but maybe you're not. But you're not out here trying to, snipe hunting, I guess is what you could call it, right? You're trying to bring some real
it's about
solutions.
Relationships.
It is about relationships.
And
that's absolutely
it's
right.
all about connecting with people and brainstorming, troubleshooting, and like you said, find solutions to problems.
Going through the journey together, I think, is what's most important, is going through the journey together. Well, that's fantastic stuff. So what we're going to do next, and we're going to try to do this, I say for every podcast, we're going to do a quick reaction segment. I'm going to full transparency here again too, right? So Angela's seen the video. You haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to pull up my laptop real quick. We're going to watch like a minute of this. You know what we're looking at, so you'll kind of understand what's going on. But we have this fun video here of a ski lift, and it says at least 8 people injured when the ski lift malfunctions. And I'm sure in post-production they'll do some magic on this, but we're starting this thing from the rip. Dude, that thing is moving.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Just whipping around that bend like it's a F1 race.
4 people?
Oh,
Goner.
got all of them.
Yeah, where's the shutoff valve, guys? That's my question.
Yeah.
Bodies.
Turn this thing off.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. I just see backache. I think what's interesting. Oh man, this guy.
Just dragging.
Good luck.
Ooh.
There's not any gondolas going up the wire.
They're all getting stuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all
Yeah,
getting
they're
stuck.
just slamming into each other.
Yeah, and they're flying off the wire here.
Goodness gracious.
Screams, chaos.
Thank God somebody told the people to start jumping, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, for real. Oh, the dude ate it.
I mean, that's a very interesting point, though, or thing you point out there, Angela, is, folks jumping in, whether they work
Yeah.
at the resort or not, or on the lift or not, they're jumping in to help. And they're saying, hey, something's not right, jump into action. We need to first focus on getting people to safety.
Yeah.
And that has a lot of links. Obviously, that video it's easy to see, the danger that's there and the risk involved with some of these assets that resorts or ski lifts have. But for people to jump in, they see something's wrong. That kind of ties back into what we talk about in, people in process. I think there's a reason we put people first.
Yeah.
And it's around safety. It's when people come, especially in hospitality, in this industry, you want people to come and be safe, first of all, have a good time. And so when something goes wrong, it was a horrible experience for these folks getting ragdolled off of a ski lift. But the first thought is we need to make sure these people are safe. So what are our measures to make sure they get out of harm's way?
Yeah.
So it's a very crazy video. I think I may have seen something like that video before, but it was just crazy to see that. You guys had the heads up and knew it was going to go on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, to that, I think there was even some reports of this last ski season that we had, and this is really pertinent because we're getting ready to go into ski season again.
Yeah.
There were several ski lifts, and so being able to increase inspections, that kind of thing, preventative maintenance, predictive maintenance. That's where I really start to nerd out.
Yeah,
we start talking about that. But it's sad to see that stuff happen.
It is. It's not. It's super dangerous, right? Obviously, because we just saw that. But for me, right? I've been on a few ski lifts myself. I'm usually one who I'm not. What am I trying to say? I welcome danger. I'm cool with it. I'll take a risk. If it's and my my levels of risk are probably a lot higher than most. But when you get on a ski lift like that, it is a little nerving, right? Because you're just sitting on a bench attached to a wire that's moving. And I've been on some that don't have a safety bar that flips downward. You're just sitting there. And then, there's some points where, you may be 50, 100 feet up in the air, and it can be a little daunting. And so while researching for that video, I found some others and I found a couple other news stories. I was actually talking to Rory about it earlier today. I found one story where the ski lift failed, and so it stopped, and they had to do rescue operations to get people off of the benches, right? Some of them, this one in particular, which this is crazy to me, they had to somehow get a rope up and over the wire, and then they could ferry harnesses to the people on the bench seats, and then they had to verbally instruct them how to attach the harness to themselves and then self-belay down. And you're talking 100, 150 feet.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And if you've never done anything like that, you've got to give a lot of trust into the person coaching you. And then if you have done it before, it's still not cool. So I think that's one interesting, problem-solving skills, super cool. That's a good way to make sure people are safe getting off the benches. But then the other one I saw was, I think in Switzerland, they have these enclosed gondolas where they go up the Swiss Alps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody noticed a stress fracture on one of the main pylons. And so brought the whole operation to a halt, rescue operations had to go to get people out of there. Some of these gondolas were like almost 400 feet from ground because they're at such a steep slope.
Yep.
And high angle rescue had to come in and figure this out. Like, how do you get people down from that high of an elevation, right? And the risk level, the safety level. I mean, there's just so much that goes into that. So, you know, we could obviously dissect that 8,000 ways to one on the safety side of it. Angela, you brought up a really good point. Like, why didn't somebody hit the safety or, excuse me, the stop switch, right? I'm assuming
the shutoff valve. I mean,
yeah, there's got to be a big red button that says stop.
Yeah.
But let's take it into, I say, the step further of like, you know, what if they did hit the stop button and it didn't stop?
Oh, yeah, that's next level.
Right. And in my mind, and it's because naturally, right, like this is the industry we're in. If I'm a leader of that organization, which I'm not, never have been, so I can't claim any fame to that. But if somebody hits the stop button and it doesn't stop, my next question is going to be like, okay, well, why didn't it stop? Why why aren't we checking that our fail safes are or aren't working? And so I'm just curious, right? Like, it just makes me curious is what it gets to.
And the investigations, you just always want to know what came out from the investigations. Because I think legality-wise, they have to do some investigations.
Oh, no doubt.
After these kinds of things. So,
well, and if anybody gets hurt, it's a lawsuit too, right? Like, they're getting hit with legal left and right.
Yeah. Which that comes down to the whole, the finances and the impact of these critical situations that happen. And if it could be prevented, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, can it be prevented? And I think the takeaway out of that too is you can try to plan for everything, but stuff's still going to fail at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Stuff's still going to break. It's still going to happen. You can't 100% mitigate all your risk, but we can do the best that we can. And then the side of that is reacting to it. How are we going to react to it in the most appropriate manner possible? So
yeah.
That's,
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Alex.
You're fine.
Just one thought on that is, we can do everything we can do to help prevent it. And I think there was a friend of mine told me a story, and this kind of goes away from the ski lift, been into the hotel sector of things. But, they had gotten into an elevator, and I don't know how many floors up, but the elevator went out. And they ended up falling. I think it was 3 or 4 stories.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it hits home because it was a friend of mine telling me somebody that they knew, and they fractured multiple bones. It's been major rehabilitation. But to your point about do everything we can do, I know I have been in elevators, and I look for this just because I'm in the industry. I have noticed there are expired inspections.
Oh, yeah.
On these elevators. And I, some research that I did in regards to the ski industry, keeping up with inspections, it can be challenging because they have a lot of other things going on, right? So, but to do your point, everything that we can do to prevent these things, we need to make it as easy as possible to make sure these inspections happen.
Yeah.
Right? Because lives are at stake.
And that they're not pencil whipped, right? Like they actually follow the task plan.
Yes.
They're not just checking boxes to check boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
The procedures are followed.
Yep.
That's a whole nother
we can talk about that
trail,
for
right?
hours. Right?
We won't go there. But,
I'm sure a lot of people could.
Yeah. But anywho's.
Yeah. I've got a good elevator story. This won't take very long. Some people know. I don't know if you know, Angela. I used to be EMT here in Greenville County for many years for the 911 system.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I could probably write 2 books out of all the medical emergencies that I've been to over the years. But there is a specific building in downtown Greenville. I will not give the address. Those of you that may watch this will know. If you don't know, it's okay. All you need to know is this building was built a long time ago. It's government housing, and the elevator is probably about as big as this desk, to be honest with you. It's pretty small. I'm talking like 4 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet. It's like just enough space to get us 2 in the door with the security guard and the stretcher. That thing would fail 9.5 out of 10 times getting into that building. I mean, I say, well, I didn't go there all the time, but it was more times than not, right? Like we're responding to an emergency, and we're on our way up to the 8th floor, and it just stops.
Oh,
and
God.
it's hot, and we're just sitting there, and there's nothing you can do until it just turns back on. And that's crazy.
That's nerve-wracking.
You know, that's obviously a different industry and a different side of it. But I mean, it goes to show like your elevator story, right? Like that's, man, like for a city-owned building, I'm like, you guys can't figure this out. We shouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised. It's government, but that's we don't need to talk about that right now. So, but yeah, I mean, and then same thing, right? Like bringing somebody down. I remember this did happen one time. This one guy was having a heart attack. He was having the Widowmaker, the big one. And the elevator got stuck halfway down. And we were like, oh, my God, what are we going to do? Because if this guy goes into cardiac arrest, like, we can't do chest compressions in here. Like, we can't do anything. We just got to ride this thing out. So it was interesting, and it was a little scary. But, yeah, enough about the scary stuff on that a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Trying to make it a little more lighthearted, a little bit less about death. Angela, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Can you, to the best of your ability, just walk us through a day in the life, right? Like I know, you know, we're obviously not these, what you could call them maintenance technicians or even, you know, directors of operations. You know, maybe you've done a little bit of that in your past, but from your interactions with, you know, whoever you talk to on the phone or whoever you've helped in the past, like what does a day in the life for some of these folks look like? You know, what are some of their struggles and you know, where, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah. Well, the first things first is the morning meeting, right? John comes in for the morning meeting, and everyone's kind of reviewing the previous day's work, what got done, what's still standing, that kind of thing. They're going to be able to kind of go over what they have to do that day. So a lot of the maintenance roles are around preventative maintenance. So they have a lot of work orders and tasks that are that they need to get done preventative wise. And then they just discuss the urgent issues. There's always something that's going to come up. So, you know, John could be working on a preventative maintenance in one of the rooms, and all of a sudden he gets a message on his tablet, hey, get down to the bathroom. You know, literally you got to clean some crap up. But I mean, that's kind of how it is, right? You just have, when it comes to managing facilities and that kind of thing, you have the things that you need to prevent, and you have work orders to do that. And you have your inspections, as we mentioned. So you have your work orders to get those done. But there's always that urgent issue that's going to come up, and it's going to pull you away from those things. And being able to really be flexible and wear multiple hats of pivoting to different jobs, and troubleshooting is a huge part, I think, of the daily life for maintenance crews. Being able to problem solve, troubleshoot. There's always something new to navigate, and then getting back to the preventative work orders that they have on their plate.
Interesting point, Ben. We talk about this a lot. Angela, I think you and I have talked about it too. Break-in work as it happens, right? So failures occur. Let's be real. Failures can occur all the time. But are we asking ourselves the right question or questions of how do we prioritize it? More importantly, are we doing the right work on the right piece of equipment at the right time? Or are we treating every reactive failure as a fire drill? Right? Like, are we treating every break-in piece of work as it takes immediate priority, regardless of if it's the flow of the water fountain isn't at optimum flowiness, whatever that means, or, you know, is it truly a mission-critical asset, HVAC unit in a room, plumbing failure, structural issue, leak in the roof, anything, right? Are we prioritizing it the right way? And so the reason I bring that up is our friend Brian Bieschke commented on a LinkedIn post. I think it was something that I made, some goofy post I put out there that was like, if everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. So, you know, when we're kind of armchair QB in this stuff and we're walking through a day in the life, right? Like we know that we got PMs we got to do because we need to try to stay ahead of the reaction component. We obviously know break-in work is going to happen, but I mean, if we don't touch on the subject piece of this, that is, you know, are we – I don't know if I want to say of the right mind. That's not the right word to use. But you get what I'm trying to say is like, you know, are we prioritizing things in the right way? Because, again, part of this whole asset management strategy component is it's a balance of mitigating risk and minimizing cost. It's very possible, right, that we can be over-maintaining equipment and it's costing us more than it needs to be done because maybe it's a labor issue or what have you. Or, I call it just spending funny money. We're just fixing everything to fix it, but we're not. And then again, like if we're just fixing everything to fix, that's not maintenance. That's just fixing. And then we're never going to get to our PM cycle either, right? So that is part of stop the madness right there. We need to stop that madness for certain. We need to be planned because planned work is safe work. And and if we're just responding to everything like it's a 911 emergency, then we're not doing anything really, except just responding. I don't know, Ben. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think when it comes down to these folks that are doing the maintenance work and really day to day fighting fires, as you said. I think the expectation is whether it's from leadership or, your direct superiors, like something's broken, fix it, especially in hospitality, because it's probably affecting somebody on your at your site or resort or venue. And I feel like the answer is always just go fix it. Doesn't drop everything and fix. Which, there are some great folks that are doing maintenance work, but when they are having to do that every day and they don't really know where or what's coming next, you're leaving it up to chance of like, well, are we going to have enough resources? Are we going to have enough time to fix all of these things as they go? There's no strategy in place for us to be meaningful with our time, to use it the right way, to go out and actually fix things the right way and really plan ahead for, okay, we understand that this elevator breaks down every 7 months.
Yeah.
Instead of just waiting the 7 months for it to break again, can we start digging in and peeling back the layers and say, okay, why is it breaking? Is it the same kind of breakdown every time? What do we need to put in place to send somebody out there every 5 months to fix whatever it might be, or at least check, diagnose, and see what the problem is, so that we're not having to send people out on the day it happens, and then we're potentially spending more on overtime on parts to be able to figure it out. You have potential guests that are trying to use that equipment, that elevator, to get to their room or to get to wherever they need to go. I've been in a lot of hotels that have 1, maybe 2 elevators.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of places have added a few more, so now you've got 4 or 5 or 6 options. But there's some places that you only have 1 or 2 elevator options. Then you're not really addressing the needs of your patrons in the sense of somebody may need to use the elevator because they're handicapped or they have special needs that they need an elevator for. They can't take the stairs. So then it's kind of biting into, that customer experience. So we need to have a plan of action, plan ahead. What are the critical pieces of equipment that we have at our location in our business that we need to pay special attention to? And it could just be, like you said, Alex, over-maintaining. Yeah. We might be over-maintaining, which sometimes is good, sometimes could be bad if you're not doing it for the right equipment, you know? So you have to take a look at that. Angela, I'd be curious to know, just from your conversations with folks, people like our listeners, what you've heard as far as, a place has been doing, whether it's a resort or a hotel or somewhere in some kind of business and hospitality industry, when they've been doing something for 20, 30, maybe even 40 years the exact same way, and it's kind of ingrained in the culture in a good or bad way, could be either way. Have you seen folks approach trying to innovate in the sense of changing their practices to become a little bit more mirrored to what we're talking about with preventing rather than reacting? What's kind of that flip? Because there are probably a lot of folks that have been doing this job for 20 to 40 years that have done it all one way. It's hard to kind of break that cycle and that culture to then start to look at, how can we start to fix these things ahead of time?
Yeah. I hate to say the answer, but a lot of folks are still in that reactive state, right? Some of it is education. Actually, a lot of it, I think, is education of what's available. Things like condition-based maintenance, asset performance. To your point, Alex, doing those things allows you to be able to recognize we can pull back on PMs on this equipment. Yeah, we need to keep this equipment at the same level, but if the manufacturer says this, but what we're now seeing by upping our maintenance methodologies, as I mentioned, CBM, and we're able to reduce the amount of work. And then with the labor shortage that is so prevalent within the hospitality industry, we can take those resources and allocate them now to other areas of the business, right? Of other areas of equipment that now we can actually do our inspections and get those things done. So I think a lot of it is still education, condition-based maintenance, this kind of thing. I was actually at High Tech earlier this year and chatting with one of the executives from one of the PMS systems, and just why isn't this a real conversation, even in the conferences? Why isn't this a big talking point? And at the end of the day, it's not sexy. It's not revenue.
No, there's nothing sexy about this. No,
it's not sexy, but it's so crucial to the bottom line. It's so crucial to CapEx planning and budgeting and forecasting and all of these things that do make such a huge difference. So, I think it's something that needs to be given more attention. And at the end of the day, I think the ability to do that is to do an assessment on the organization first. Technology is not the solution first. An assessment of understanding where are we at is number one priority. From my perception, the foundation is understanding what's our current state. Let's assess that, and then start exploring ways to increase our ability to prevent and predict rather than react.
Yeah, ooh, Alex, I think
one.
we need to take a beat there.
Yeah,
we just had an asset management software rep say technology is not the first step.
Dude,
that's stopping the madness right there. Angela, credit to you, because we kind of have that belief too, and it might be crazy to some of the listeners just with. We're sales folks, like you're trying to provide a service and a product, but it's not coming from a place of we're just going to ram it down your throat.
Right.
It's about educating, not just educating the folks that are looking for something to help them. It's educating ourselves as vendors and providers on what the problems are, and hopefully we can help present some solutions that could help. And it's not about trying to offload this software or this idea of service onto you without there being the purpose behind it. So I love that piece that you said there. It's education back and forth, but it's not just about throwing the software or technology in first. Let's understand as a business, as a partnership, whether you're working with a vendor, make sure that they understand what's important to you. So to all the listeners out there, if you're having conversations looking to add some kind of software, let's make sure that we roll it back and we do an assessment of where we currently are. And we understand, okay, in order for us to get to that next step, we have to understand where we've been, what we're doing now, what can we do to make that better? What things are actually working well right now that we can maintain and keep when we move to the next step of innovating and going digital and those kind of things. It's understanding, and a lot of that comes from culture, from leadership, your direction as a business. A lot of that kind of energy that you have, you need to make sure is correct first before you get to that next piece. That's why we kind of talk about people, process, and the fundamentals first of maintenance, operations. If you're trying to achieve these operational excellence goals, you got to start somewhere, and that starting somewhere is understanding the process. Are we doing things the right way? Let's start there before we start throwing some crazy shit out there that's technology or software. And it's crazy coming from all of us software people that are selling a product. That's what we're trying to get across with this podcast, with the conversation with Angela is, we will always be here to provide a software or a service, but our energy and our goal here is to start getting your business to think about the mission. What are we really trying to
pull that one in?
What are we really trying to achieve here? How are we prioritizing and empowering our maintenance teams to make a difference every day, to make them feel confident and energetic about what they're doing? And how is that adding to the full goal of what you're doing as a business. So, there's a lot of ties from maintenance to everything else. But Angela, I love that point, just about starting with the process and understanding the assessment of where you're currently at so that we can then get to that next stage.
It's absolutely right. And your point on the mission is, gosh, I think we forget that. And I think at any level in the organization, right, it could be any organization, you need to understand the business in the most simplistic term of how do we make money? For hotels, it's people that book a room and that keep coming back. For sporting arenas, butts and seats and concessions probably. Probably more concessions than butts and seats. And then you talk about cruise lines, right? Like keeping the boat full, right? It's keeping people coming back to have a positive experience. And Angela, I talked about this, when we were planning this whole thing together, that one bad experience is not only detrimental to the brand of the organization, but the word of mouth spread that happens as a result of that. Like you spend this time, effort, and money with your family, getting them out the door, planned, traveled to wherever it is you're going. And, for me, right, like if I were to do this, actually, I did just do this. We took the whole family and flew to Michigan, flew Delta, by the way, which was a good experience.
No free ads, by the way.
No free ads. No, unfortunately not. But I was curious how Delta was I don't want to say be accommodating towards us. I just didn't know what it was going to be like traveling with a 2.5-year-old and a 5-month-old. And it was the first time for my wife and I. But anyway, if all it would have taken for me to never be a Delta customer again is a flight attendant that was either rude to us or somebody at the gate that was rude to us about how we need to facilitate, checking like the car seat in or the stroller as a checked item. Any part of the process along the way that would have made my life more difficult while trying to utilize their service, it would have made me a little angry and it would have started to fester. And then, had it moved into a situation where they just were completely unhelpful or worse, made it a very traumatic or bad experience for my kids, I would push mountains over to, make my kids happy, right? And I think most people would. So anyway, that's getting to creating positive experiences are good, but you want to keep the customer coming back. But at the same time, a positive experience can sometimes just go unnoticed, right? Like it's just normal. It's just happening every single day. But like a lot of things in life, the bad things, the negative experiences tend to stick out the most. They're going to linger the longest. Everybody's going to remember a story about a time they went to a ski lift and the ski lift broke and that sucked and they had a horrible time and they're going to laugh and have a few drinks over it. But then, how many times – I love telling stories. I tell them all the time, right? So I would tell that story 1,000 times. How many people is that going to get told to, right? So again, going back to the brand side of it, like why is asset management important? Is protect your brand, right? Like to make the mundane – keeping it mundane. As Mark LaPlante, our other friend, says, he likes to take the fun out of asset management, and that could not be any more of a true statement on that. But before I get too further down that road, Angela, I want to ask you another question. Ben and I, we spend a lot of time with manufacturing or utilities, right? So where, terms such as downtime are pretty easy to understand because equipment's failed, widgets not being produced, X amount of revenue being lost every minute, this critical asset fails. How can we translate that a little bit into hospitality, right? I guess I jokingly say the caveman like me that doesn't understand much, how does an asset management, not only strategy and solution, why is it important? We talked a little bit about that, but like what are the challenges that are being faced in hospitality maybe versus manufacturing? What I'm trying to get at is how similar or how different is it really compared to other verticals that are asset intense?
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit different. Some of the biggest challenges, as I mentioned earlier, is the labor shortage, and that's a huge one, and that impacts maintenance at the end of the day when it comes to being able to fulfill the work orders that need to be done. So that piece. The other piece is the hospitality industry has extremely thin margins. So when it comes to capital planning, things like that, you know, reactive maintenance, unplanned downtime, those words are still relevant. That's still a common thing. But when it comes to other industries that have larger margins to play with more money, that there's the gap. One of the things as well in hospitality is being able to manage asset depreciation. So this is where it's so crucial to be able to have the visibility into the data that hospitality leaders and executives need to be able to make these educated decisions that I mentioned. And, you know, I think a lot of folks are still using Excel. They don't have the data that they can really make true educated decisions to be able to impact the bottom line on the maintenance side. So hopefully that answered your question there, Alex. Those are some of the things that I think are differentiators.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, you're spot on with trying to find the right data to make the right decision, to make the good decision. You know, I think let's say if somebody starts with Excel knowing they're going to move into an EAM or a CMMS at some point in you know, the trajectory, it's not a bad thing. Start collecting the data. You know, but again, we want to make sure we're collecting the right data. And then where I think the slippery slope with that is it just kind of gets easy to like, I'm going to put it in the Excel spreadsheet and I'm going to forget about it. Or, you know, I need to pull a query on some of the data in the Excel spreadsheet. It becomes hard to find. So it's just you get complacent in using it and you're like, nah, we're managing just fine with this, you know. But, you know, one of my favorite stories is in regards to inventory management. You know, a new controller or a new CFO walks in the door, insert any organization to this, and they start combing through the books and the P&L, profit and loss statement, and they all of a sudden start seeing discrepancies on parts. Like, why are we spending, just throwing random numbers out here, $1 million a month on parts? What is happening here? Mm-hmm. Why are we spending $1 million a month on parts, but our downtime is less than 2%? What's like, are we eating through that many parts that, you know, our equipment is broken? What's going on? And so, you know, I think the logical next step is, okay, well, we're going to walk down to the storeroom and I'm going to ask the inventory clerk, can you run a report for me on everything that you've purchased and that's hit these shelves over the last 6 months? And if you're that inventory clerk and you can't do that confidently, I'm not saying you're going to be without a job, but it's going to make your job that much more difficult. And so that goes back to giving your people the right tools to do what they need to do. If you're going to have an executive come in and ask for something like that and they can't accurately pull the data that they're looking for, that's a problem. You're not enabling your people to do what they need to do with the right tools. And then, you know, talk about it from a like a culture standpoint, like that individual is now under an insane amount of pressure, losing sleep, maybe lose their job. I mean, they don't know what's going to happen. They just know that they can't produce the numbers that, you know, this person is looking for and trying to find out why they're spending that amount of money on it. And so it goes back to, if you're using the Excel component of it, what if you can't find the data? And then again, what's the answer? Oh, well, we keep it in this Excel file that lives on Dave's computer. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it, right?
Especially when the day that Dave retires and his password is gone and his login is gone, and then
or Dave gets fired and he's pissed and he just wipes his computer clean, right? And all of that information's gone. Or
you know, there's the term that we sometimes use is tribal knowledge. To that point, is you have folks who've been doing their job and working with the organization for years and years and years. And then inevitably the time comes, they're ready to retire, move on to better things, drink some margaritas, you know the drill. But nobody else at the location that person just retired from is going to be drinking margaritas. They're going to be like, what are we going to do? Where is all this information? How do I fix this equipment? Yeah, I got to hire somebody or move somebody into that role to do it. Are those processes written down on how to fix it? This is a machine that's basically been, in this example, Dave's baby for 30 years. He knows exactly how to fix it in all the right ways, and he probably had records that he'd written down. He knew what parts it would take to fix, what kind of tools or things that are in a kit, where that kit is. He probably has all that in his brain, but now he's gone how do we find that out? Well, everybody else is kind of left to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
So having that system of record or just some kind of process to understand how everything is going on in your operation is crucial. And especially like I think the buzzwords are like going digital transformation. We're not against that sentiment, especially as
definitely
folks
not.
that are working in the software business. It's more so around the purpose of it. It's not just to spend a bunch of money on a product just because you can spend a bunch of money on a product and it looks cool and you think, this is going to fix everything. It's more we're getting it so that we can give our people the tools, the right tools to succeed. It's like, the baseball manager sending the guy out there and is like, go hit a home run. Doesn't give him the bat. Doesn't give him the gloves.
Use your forearms.
No cleats.
Dog.
Just like, but then at the end, it's like, all right, go out there and hit that home run.
Yeah.
And then tell me how you did it, so I can see it and see all the stats. It's like, well, I never got the bat to begin with, so I'm basically just gonna have to break my hand trying to swing at this thing because I have no tool. Kind
Or
of.
they'll get a tennis racket. That's it.
There you go.
They've been given a tennis racket.
For sure.
Challenge for you, Ben. Let's go to the park next time and give you a tennis racket. I want to see if you can hit a home run.
Yeah, there's no chance. But I
Please
do
film
love
this.
a challenge.
You do love a challenge?
Please film this.
Okay.
Yeah. But and that's a great point. It's like I think folks are like when you go to work, you don't necessarily want to be like overly challenged, but I think people want to be challenged in the sense of they were hired to do a job and they want to do that job and they want to do it the right way. I think there's a lot of maintenance experts and professionals that are out, technicians doing great work, and they've maybe had to figure it out because they weren't given everything they needed to succeed, the right way. Yeah. And so that's why we get stuck in these spells of reactive work, is because that's just kind of how it's always been. It's like you're hired on as our maintenance manager, maintenance technician, our maintenance planner. Figure it out.
Yeah.
The last person was able to do it and they had their own system.
Yeah.
I don't have any of the stuff that they had or created. So just figure it out. The last person did. And I'm not saying that every organization or business is like that. In hospitality, there's probably folks that are coming on and, you mentioned the shortage of labor. And, there's a lot of folks that are taking on more responsibilities, and the more responsibilities they take on, some things fall through the cracks. That's just kind of how it is. Yeah, it's just making sure that your people feel confident and have the tools to succeed. That's kind of what we're getting at here. Is it's not just, going out and getting any kind of technology or innovation just to say you did it. It's more so what was the purpose behind it? Well, we want our people to be happier. We want them to go home at the right time and have dinner with their family. And, if we're having to send them out there for reactive work and that could keep them there for hours and hours, it puts you in a bad spot, and then people aren't happy. Yeah. You can't retain that labor. And so if you focus everything on a centralized option where you're storing all your data, you can see it all, you can run reports. Let's say your example of the executive asking, why are we hemorrhaging $1 million a month on parts? You can go in and see exactly what it was about. And then once you kind of have that data to go off of, then you get to the next piece of diagnosing and analyzing and then building the strategy to get you to the place you need to be. So
that was good. Take us to church, Ben. That was a good one. Well, about time to start winding down here as we get through this. So, Angela, one last question to you. If you would love to give our listeners something for free, right? We all love free 99. I know I do. Well, yeah, mostly.
Free's nice.
Free is nice, right? But we've talked a lot today, right? Like we talked a lot about some problem identification, labor shortage, how important this is to really any vertical of hospitality here. But let's just throw the scenario out here of somebody listening in, and they are, whether they're a maintenance manager or a director of operations, or heck, even an executive level, right? Like what is something you can give them to get started today that doesn't require having to buy Hexagon EAM or whatever flavor of software that they want to go after, right? But what is something they can start doing today that is going to set them up for success as they go down this journey?
Yeah, I would say it comes down to that internal exploration. That's really what I'd say. And you mentioned guest experience, because that's really what it comes down to. Our goals in the hospitality industry is to to give the guests the best experience that they can have. And I was reading a blog that that mentioned that 80% of guest reviews are related to some type of maintenance related situation.
80%?
80% is what I read. So I can't tell you that that's true or not. But I would say at least above 50% are related to maintenance situations. And so what I would encourage folks, my freebie would be to just start exploring internally. Go read the reviews, right? Do an assessment on your reviews and determine how many of your reviews are related to maintenance. And I imagine a lot of organizations are looking at the reviews, things like that. But just start collecting internal data. Start analyzing how many of our work orders are reactive, how many of our work orders are preventative, how many failures have we had this month. Start analyzing that information so you can get a better handle and grip on where the improvements can happen. My next thing would be, because it would behoove me if I didn't share this part, because as again, I nerd out on this side, start looking into the benefits of predictive maintenance, of condition-based maintenance, of being able to leverage that sensor data that most likely is on a lot of your critical pieces of equipment in your facilities. Start exploring, educating yourself on that, the value and benefits of that. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I could encourage and hopefully give away as a takeaway today.
No, that's
Look
good.
how I rhymed all that. Give away as a takeaway today. Did you see how that just came right out of my mouth like
Should
that?
submit something to the Dr. Seuss
Yeah, maybe I need to
authors.
write a book.
I don't know who's doing Dr. Seuss these days, but
Your book's going to be about EMT, and mine will be a child's book.
I think if I wrote a book about my EMT career, I would find my way into court so fast. It would not be good. Fun fact,
Maybe
somebody did
shelf
do
that
that.
one.
Yeah, there was a guy who was the director of EMS for Charleston County, wrote a book, published it, and he got fired within 2 weeks.
No.
Yeah, because he told some stories where he shouldn't. Probably dropped a few names that violated HIPAA violation. So
That'll do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Well, to summarize what Angela just said, right? Like I think what her takeaways or her giveaways, excuse me, to those of you that are listening. First things first, look at your business, right? Try to identify where you're experiencing problems, probably the most pain, if you will. What's keeping you up at night? Is it air conditioners keep failing? I don't know. You find your pain. It should be easy to find, right? Should be things that are keeping you up at night as to why things aren't going the way you need it to. I think to expand upon that a little bit, when you're doing that internal business reflection, you need to put your ego aside. This doesn't mean that you're failing or your team's failing. It just means there's a problem and we need to find a solution to it. And then the way you close it out is good is be open-minded to solutions that are available. And leverage the right resources that you have. You mentioned condition-based monitoring, IoT devices, basically Internet of Things, for those of you who don't know. That's a great way to leverage a piece of technology and a tool on an already short-staffed crew on, again, answering the question, are we doing the right maintenance at the right time on the right piece of equipment? And are we staying ahead of it? That's a great way to get through it. Angela, thank you for the insights today. Thank you for sharing, your perspective of what we're going. And this is just episode 1. We got 3 more on hospitality. So this is about to get crazy. So
let's go.
Yeah, thanks for all of it. And I know we're excited about the next one. And it's going to be good stuff. So we appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Ben. This has been a blast. So excited. And look forward to more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Angela.
Yeah. Well, Ben, there's a lot to unpack here today.
Yeah.
So I think what we tried to do, whether we did it or not, is to be determined. Why is asset management, maintenance management, why is it important and why does it matter to folks in the hospitality industry? Can you answer that one real quick?
Yeah, I think it, like Angela had talked about, customer experience. That's when we first started talking about this topic in this industry. That's the first thing I thought of. It takes me back to a a quote or a phrase that said, trust can take years to build and only a second to lose. And I think that hits so hard for hospitality because it is about that customer experience. We're talking about maintenance and asset management, which we've said it a few times, it's mundane. And it's easy to blame the mundane from a point of view of if something's broken and it's not getting fixed fast enough, it's immediately maintenance's fault. I think what we're trying to do is stopping the madness of, stopping that blame and understanding, instead asking why. Why are we initially blaming maintenance?
Yeah.
Why are we not asking, what do you need to be better? What do you need to be successful? How can we support you, our maintenance team, to get things done the right way?
Yeah.
If you're able to fix and predict and prevent any kind of breakdowns, you're protecting yourself from having bad customer experiences because they're able to actually utilize your equipment or enjoy what your equipment brings to your business.
Yeah.
And so I think it all ties back to that for hospitality. It's about, are people enjoying it here? Are they enjoying using what we have? And then from there, you have people come back. They spread the word because they may not remember the perfect climate in their room every single time. That may not jump out from their visit. And you don't necessarily want that to jump out. You want that to be something that's just something they don't have to worry about every time they go back to the room. You want them to focus on all the fun accommodations and things that they can do around your property or your site or your service that you're providing.
Boozing and having fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just want to get drunk.
On the flip side, they sure as hell will remember that stuffy, sweaty room or that elevator that was broken the entire time they were there, and they may not want to come back. Yeah. So we're just trying to put forward this idea that, it may be mundane to maintain, but they sure as hell will remember that. So I think that's kind of the crucial piece. What do you think about that, Alex?
Yeah, I think absolutely. But brand integrity is one thing. But again, trying to open up the mindset from top to bottom, and I mean from CEO to whether it's janitorial or seasonal labor, everybody can own asset management. It's in the military we have this saying, see something, say something. That's more along the lines of like safety and terrorism and crazy stuff like that. So I'm not trying to say we need to implement that, but it is crucial that anybody within the organization can say something when they see that something is not right. This doesn't look right. This could jeopardize guest experience or create a bigger problem. And those individuals need to have a clear and easy process to submit, let's call it a work request, or throw up the flare gun, right? Hey, this is broken. We need to get somebody to come take a look at this because this could be a problem.
Yeah.
And you need to enable that kind of mentality. So I think that's another takeaway today is, from a leadership angle, it's all about fostering the right environment. I think we're going to talk about this in the next episode, which I'm going to tee into in just a moment. But, it's being a leader in these organizations isn't about having all the answers. You need to be able to set the tone and the culture and then give the people you hired to do the job the right tools, freedoms and flexibility and autonomy. Maybe I should have just said autonomy, but anyway, giving them the autonomy to do what they do best, which is fix problems, not have to sweat too hard over it, and that there's a clear process to get it done. Mm-hmm. So, I think we can sum up in a very fun way. I don't know if it's fun, but we can sum it up that asset management, as boring as it is important to hospitality, right? It doesn't matter what you do or what facility you're trying to manage or what service you're providing. You want to make sure you're operating at your peak level as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And the answer to the solution is not cutting costs and doing more with less. It's about enabling and doing the right thing, which is taking care of the equipment.
Yeah.
So our next episode coming up here real soon is featuring a industry expert, a real deal pro, if you will, who knows the ins and outs of hospitality leadership and has seen a lot of this on the front lines. He is great guy. I've only talked to him for about 20 minutes on the phone, so this is going to be a fun podcast with him. But I think we're like-minded people. He seems to care about the right things, and he's going to provide his perspective as to why not only asset management should be important to the leadership angle, but why it needs to have more attention across the board. So I'm real excited to hear from him. And the best part is he's just an industry expert. He's agnostic to technology, software, anything for that matter. He's just a dude that's been there, done that, seen it, and he's going to provide a real deal perspective, which I, for one, am very excited about. So that being said, thank you guys for being here today. We hope you learned something today. We're super excited to keep this moving forward. We can't wait to see you again. So take care and have a good day.